What's going on, everybody? My name is Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome to the Backbone Show. Guys, I got an interesting topic for you today. You saw the title, Why is Death Your Motivation? Let's get into that, guys. But before we do, be sure if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Or if you're a returning person, it's a lot of you guys watch my content from Facebook or from Instagram. Whatever you choose to use it from, that's fine. But please know you can go actual to YouTube, subscribe to my channel. If you're supporting already, I need you to subscribe. If you're watching, I need you to go to YouTube, hit that like button, because I know Instagram and Facebook doesn't allow you to do it. And I also need you to share my content. If you believe this topic is worthy of a discussion, share it with somebody, have that conversation with them. Also, hit me in the comment section. I want to hear what you got to say about this, whether you agree or disagree. No comment is a bad comment. Let me hear. Help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Why is death your motivation? I have a lot of debates. I don't know about you guys. I have a lot of debates and a lot of discussion. Oftentimes what happens is the people I have a discussion with try to have a trump card. I have to admit, at times I have a trump card. Trump card is basically something you use that you think there will be an ender. When I play this card, it's over. If I say this, there's no coming back from what I'm saying. And one trump card that's often used is death. Death is a trump card people use that they think essentially will end this discussion and nobody will have anything to refute what they're saying. But guys, I think there's utter BS. Straight bullcrap for someone to use it as a trump card, but also for the other person that's receiving that to allow that to be an ender. I've rebutted all the time. I'm just letting you know. You got to find a way better way to end this conversation than saying that bull crap to me. But I want to go over 3 different topics that people normally use death as a trump card and let you see how crazy it is that they do this and help you in your next debate win the argument. The first one is the land we live in called transgenderism. Transgenderism. I've had some recent conversations regarding this, guys, and I'm not going to put any of that information nor the person I spoke to out there like that because it was a private conversation. However, I do know that a lot of times the people surrounding someone who's either transitioning or who's fully transitioned to be a transgender or whatever, however you phrase that, I'm sorry, don't come at me. The people that are more so leaning towards supporting them will use, I don't want them to commit suicide. They will flat out say the statistics show that these people are severely at risk for committing suicide. I had to look into that, guys, because I really don't believe it. Like, I don't go around seeing a lot of transgenders overall, but the ones you do see, are people just provoking them to suicide? I want to look into that. So I found a couple stats I want to show you guys. Hopefully this is a reputable website. You can go there yourself to be sure, but it's from Human Life International. They put out a stat here that I believe is interesting. So according to the Centers of Disease Control, about 1 million people in the U.S. identify as transgender. That's about 0.6 of the adult population. The other stat they put here on this line right here says, furthermore, 41% reported at least one attempt at suicide. So there's 0.6% of the population. Of that 0.6, 41% reported at least one attempt at suicide. That's a relatively high number. I mean, 41% is a high number, but I did want to compare it to just overall numbers in the country when it comes to suicide attempts. So this particular source is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. A few statistics taken in 2019. It says suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. In 2019, it was 47,511 Americans that died by suicide. In 2019, there was an estimated 1.38 million suicide attempts. So those numbers equal out to be about 14%. Is that an effective argument to use that we want to support transgenders based on them being at risk to commit suicide? Based on those numbers alone, my point is that's not a strong argument, and it should not be a motivation for supporting someone that's a transgender. It should merely be based on the fact that you love this person and that you believe you want to lead them the right way, or you want to support them in whatever way they would like to go. But Suicide should not be the motivation. The percentages tell you that it's not that high that they do commit suicide, and it's not that high that they even attempt suicide. And I find this a lot when it comes to a lot of views of people on the left. I hate to say this, it's not trying to make this political, but it's a lot on the left. They use this small, very, very small percentage of the equation of the whatever topic we're talking about to make their point. They're essentially saying because this small percentage does this, that means somebody does it. That means we should affect the majority because of the extreme minority. It makes zero sense to me. And those same people will tell you that they don't speak in generalities. You should not make a decision that affects the majority based on the minority. Majority rules. That's always been the case and always will be the case. And that's how you run an effective country, if you ask me. Do not allow people to end a conversation by bringing suicide to the transgender conversation. Allow them to have that conversation. Don't even engage in it. But the problem is they come to us with the conversation more often than not. So when they come to you with it, do not allow them to use death and suicide as the trump card. It's not a trump card. It's too small of a percentage to even matter. Well, it matters. Does it? I don't know. Let's go to the next one. Now, for this one, everybody on the sound of my voice will be able to relate. We've all heard the same thing. Let's say you have a rift in the family. It's somebody you haven't spoken to for a little while. Someone else in the family, maybe a cousin, an aunt, your mom, your grandma, somebody will reach out to you. Baby, you need to make up with your daddy. Your daddy, he ain't the best. He been out there on that crack doing all that raping, cussing everybody out. He been doing all that stuff, but he love you. But you only got one daddy. And it's a bad example because nobody ever say you only got one daddy. That goes for mama. But you only got one daddy. Let's go. And you never know. He may die. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. We can go out there. My friend Roseanne, her nephew died in a car accident the other day. That could have been you. And that could have been him. Whenever we can die, we need to come together. Or let's just say somebody in the hospital. Or let's just say somebody do die and go to a funeral. I had a friend of mine told me that his wife's dad passed away about 2 years ago. And after the funeral, his brother-in-law took everybody out to eat. And then at some point during the dinner, he stood up and made this grandiose speech. We need to come together. We are family. We need to come together. He just made this whole big old speech. Remember I said it was 2 years ago when they had that funeral and had that dinner? Well, they haven't seen each other since 2 years ago. Why is death your motivation? Because we know that's full of crap. How many of y'all hear those Ray Lewis speeches and know ain't nothing gonna happen after this? We ain't gonna see each other. We ain't gonna hear from each other. Death is not my motivation. Let's go. My motivation from being in somebody's life is because I love you. As my sister, brother, family member, whatever the case may be, I love you. So that's my motivation for wanting to be in your life. So if I cut you out of my life or I don't have anything to do with you, it's because you are a detriment to my life or you doing things to make me lose peace in my life. And the fact that you may get sick or you may die, it's not going to change anything. And I know this sounds harsh when I say this stuff, but people that I've cut out of my life, when they die, I'm going to go to their funeral, pay my respects, and move on with my life. It sounds harsh, but it's true. What else I'm going to do? You mean if I'm going to take the risk of continue to allow this toxic person to be toxic over my life and my family life and all those things I'm building just for the off chance that they may get it together one day? No. Because I love you, I've given you so many chances to get this correct, but there's a cutoff. I said this in my last video. Unconditional love does not equal unconditional relationship. So when your aunt, your mom, your grandma, whoever it is, come to you trying to use death as a motivation, tell them, no, you can't use that trump card on me. You can win that debate, rebuttal. Say, no, my motivation is not death, it's love. And I've been loving them up until this point, but now it's time for me to move on. And the last one, guys, I want to point out to you, the last argument that I believe people try to use the death as a trump card for is Christianity. For as long as I can remember, I've heard people say, I'm a child of God, I'm a Christian because I don't want to go to hell. Or I want to go to heaven. Or when they're trying to convince somebody else to try to become a Christian, they say those same two things. They need to become a Christian to go to a better place whenever they die. Why is death your motivation? I'm finna say something here that's gonna blow your mind. It's a question that people have had since the beginning of time. Is heaven or hell real? Is heaven real? Is hell real? My answer to that is, who cares? Literally, who cares if heaven or hell is real? I don't care. Reason I don't care because I don't believe that either of those should be our primary motivation for living for Christ. And I honestly believe, based on what Jesus said, that he don't believe it should be our primary focus. I'm not saying we shouldn't focus on it at all, but it shouldn't be our primary focus. He said that I come that you may have life and life more abundantly. There's so many things he said and did during his ministry that showed that our lives are way more important than our death. At one point, he even told somebody, don't even focus on your dead relative. Let the dead bury the dead. Come focus on this ministry work you need to do. Come focus on this actual living people that you need to help. So my motivation for living for Christ is not based on what's going to happen when I die. It's based on the life that he provides me. Living for God provides me the most fulfilled life over every single other thing that I've ever tried to indulge in. Living for God gives me the most fulfilled life. It's just common saying that's been going on forever that says you only live once. That's not true. You only die once, but you live every single day. That should be our motivation. And that should be the trump card. Death is not the trump card. Life is. Thanks so much for watching. Let's grow. Peace.
We come to build up our brother and build life relationships. Let's come together and take a stand in our household. Welcome to the Backbone Show. Yeah. We welcome you. Welcome to the Backbone.